The 4x4 program was developed by scientists and reported in research to look at whether HIIT, high intensity interval training, was as efficient and as effective as the media was portraying. HIIT became very popular and scientists set about to determine whether this or not was actually true. In one particular study, scientists had a look at this 4x4 program on heart failure patients, and they wanted to determine whether or not HIIT was not only effective but if it was safe. And to their surprise, not only was it very effective, but it also was very, very safe. These heart failure clients went from being end-stage heart failure back a category, so they were no longer in end-stage heart failure, which was really exciting. So their heart function improved. And it happened very, very quickly. So what they did was they looked at this 4x4 protocol, which I will show you in just a moment, and then they compared it against a 1x4 protocol. So 1 interval versus 4 intervals. And what they found is that when they looked at the improvements in fitness, they saw a 12% improvement with their 4x4 group. And then what they had a look at with their 1x4 group was that they had a 10% improvement. So the 1x4 group improved by 10% and the 4x4 group improved by 12%. So there's not a lot of difference between the two groups. Now this is really exciting news. This basically shows us that when you get the intensity right, your volume of training can come right down. And that's particularly important for people who don't want to do a lot of exercise, who don't enjoy it, and especially for those who often feel like, well, you know, if I can't go to the gym for an hour, you know, there's no real point in even bothering to do anything. The point is, something is absolutely better than nothing. And in fact, if you do something at a high enough intensity, you are getting just as good benefits of doing a longer program. So this is very, very exciting. Okay, so you should be warmed up by now. And what we're going to do is we're going to move into the first part of the first interval. So you should have a heart rate monitor on. We are looking at working between 85 to 95% of your heart rate reserve. I have calculations on my YouTube channel showing you, I have a video rather on my YouTube channel showing you how to calculate that. So head on over to my YouTube channel. I show you how to do 2 calculations. One is just percent of heart rate max and the other one is heart rate reserve. I prefer the heart rate reserve because with the heart rate reserve, it's more accurate and it's required for the 4x4 protocol. All right, so what we're about to do is we're about to get started into the the building phase. So in this building phase, what you're doing is you're gradually increasing the intensity until you hit 85 to 95% of your heart rate reserve. Excuse me. So you need to be keeping an eye on your heart rate, and I'm just going to be gradually increasing that intensity during this first phase. So the 4, when we talk about 4x4, 4 times 4 minutes. But the 4-minute intervals are broken up into 2 lots of 2 minutes. The first 2 minutes is what we call the building phase. So during this first 2 minutes, you're going to be building up your heart rate until at the very end of that 2 minutes, you're going to hit your target heart rate. The second 2 minutes is all about holding that heart rate. So you've got to hold your target heart rate. So for the second 2 minutes, you're going to be working between 85 to 95% of your heart rate reserve. All right, that's 1 minute in. Just going to speed up. So by the end of this 2 minutes here, so I've got under a minute to go, I should be at 85 to 95% of my heart rate reserve. So my target heart rate. So I'm going to be looking to try and work around the 170 mark. That's my target heart rate. So I'm just going to gradually keep going. I've got 30 seconds to go of my building phase. So I'm in the first 2 minutes of my 4-minute interval. Now remember, if you're a beginner or if you hate exercise, you're only going to do this once. How good is that? I'm going to show you 2 though, to show you the active recovery section in between. All right. We are now into the building phase. The holding phase. So the building phase is over. I'm now in the holding phase. So I'm now working 85 to 95% of my heart rate reserve. So I want to work somewhere between really 160 to 170-ish, but I want to try and push it up to 170 and get a really good workout. So holding 2 minutes. This is pretty tough going. All right. It's not easy, but remember, when you get that intensity high enough, you don't have to do it very long. And that's the whole point. All right, that's 1 minute. I'm gonna do some standing. Oh my legs. So it's really important here not to give up, because it is very easy to give up. But we've got less than a minute to go. I'm at 171. In the scheme of things, 2 minutes isn't very long. You just got to push through. Less than 30 seconds to go, keep going. Ten seconds. Five seconds. And whoo. Oh, that was good fun. So I've got 3 minutes active recovery now. All right, my heart rate got up to 179. So during this stage, you want to bring your heart rate all the way back down again. Because you don't want to start with an elevated heart rate going into your next interval. That's going to make it hurt very early on. And you don't want to hit your target heart rate early in that building phase. You want to hit your target heart rate right at the end of that 2 minutes. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to end up with more than 2 minutes of 85 to 95% of your heart rate reserve, and that will hurt. So grab a drink. Now, if you're only doing one interval because you're a beginner or because you just don't like exercise, you would continue on beyond 3 minutes here for about another 2 minutes. And that would be the end of your workout. And I mean, that just goes to show you, with your warm up, your cool down, and the hard stuff, you're done in about 10 minutes. In fact, well, if you warm up for 5 minutes and cool down for 5 minutes and then do your 4 minutes there, you're under 15 minutes. You know, and it's hard to convince me that people can't find 15 minutes. Now, I like to do the 4x4 protocol on the bike. We've got 45 seconds to go. And the reason why I like to do it on the bike so much is because it's low impact. You know, a lot of people have problems with their back and their knees, and they avoid doing HIIT because they think it's going to be so high impact. You absolutely can do HIIT in a low impact manner. And that's why I have such a preference for the bike. I've had problems with my own hips and back, and I find that running exacerbates it, whereas I find that cycling is fine. So again, this could be done on a treadmill, it could be done on a cross trainer. You can do it outside, just running laps, or find a hill somewhere, and that's going to work too. All right, we've now got back into that building phase. So you shouldn't be increasing the intensity too much at this stage, but just increasing it a little bit right now. Just start thinking about getting your heart rate up a little bit. I'm just going to turn the resistance up a little bit. So remember, by the end of this 2 minutes, we are aiming to have our heart rate at our target heart rate. So at the end of this 2 minutes, I want to see that my heart rate is up near about 160, and then I've got to try and hold that there. And as I go, my heart rate will gradually increase as I get more tired, and I'll probably end up around the 170-ish. All right, so we're nearly at the first minute. All right, so that's 1 minute in. So just keep adding a little bit more resistance, or just cycle a little bit faster. All right, 50 seconds to go, and then we're into the holding phase. So think about increasing your intensity now. All right, we've got 30 seconds to go, and we're into the holding. Now remember, you can do this 4 times if you like. I'm going to show you twice, or show you 2 rather. And just remember that in research, they showed a 12% improvement with 4x4, and they showed a 10% with 1x4. I usually get my clients to do 2 or 3. All right, let's go. So we're now in the holding phase. My legs are very fatigued right now. And I would suggest, if you're doing this by yourself, have some really good music going. It's so much easier to stay motivated with some music. All right, first 30 seconds is done. At the 1 minute mark, I think I'm going to stand up. All right, I'm almost at 170. I've hit 170. All right, and that's 1 minute. Oh. Okay, remember, this is a point where it's easy to give up. 1 minute is not very long in the scheme of things, so keep pushing. We're nearly finished. We've got a little over 30 seconds. All right, got a little over 20. Heart rate is 177. Less than 15 to go. Oh, push hard for this last 10. Three, 2, 1. $181. Well done, everyone. So that's 2 intervals. What you would do here, 3 minutes of active recovery, and then you'd start again. 2 minutes of building, 2 minutes of holding, 3 minutes of active recovery. 2 minutes of building, 2 minutes of holding, and then you cool down, and you are all done. So I really want you to take away from this that something is better than nothing. But if you're going to do something, jack up the intensity. Do it hard, do it for a couple of minutes, and you are finished. So what we're going to do here is we are going to cool down. I need a drink. So we're just going to cool down now. The point is to get your heart rate down nice and low again. The way in which our body returns blood back from the limbs to our heart is called something the skeletal muscle pump. So our heart controls blood from the heart out to the body, but once it's out to the body, the heart pressure can't overcome gravity and propel it back to the heart. So what we require, or what we rely on, is the skeletal muscle pump. And that's just the action of all your skeletal muscles pushing down on your veins and squirting the blood back up to your heart, sort of like a tube of toothpaste. Squirt, 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 squirt. So if you want to make sure that your blood is going to return from your limbs back to your heart, you have to be moving. And that's why cool downs are so important. You are facilitating the movement of the blood from your limbs back to your heart. If you don't cool down after exercise, your blood pools in your limbs and it can make you dizzy and not particularly great. So do make sure that you do that cool down. It also helps remove lactic acid out of your muscles, which then gets dealt with. Alrighty, so you got a couple more minutes here of the cool down. Or you have to get started again on your third interval. So good luck with that. Well done, everyone.